want to be open and kind of honest with you guys about the situation. Hope that all of you guys can be very respectful and not and just, you know, respectful of our decision and not find any reasons to come at us for our decisions. Hi guys, so welcome back to our channel. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to start this, but I don't know, I contemplated about making this video because there's only, I don't know, like with YouTube, there's so much you want to put out there. And people always find a reason to come back at you for whatever the reason is for your decisions. And it's like, you know, just like you get to make decisions in your life, I get to make decisions in mine. And we make decisions that are the best for us and the best for our family. So you know, and the fact that we document our journey, because this is what this is. Like, I've been thinking about it more and more, and I realized, like, this is, much as it is daily vlog, it's more like a documentary. It's more like us documenting our lives, because it's just our day-to-day lives, and to some people it's not exciting. I want to share the good and the bad and take you on the journey of, you know, whatever it is that is going on. So we want to be open and kind of honest with you guys about the situation. This is tough to talk about because this is something that we've been back and forth with, and we've come to the decision finally, or, you know, recently, that it just wasn't working. Things were just not working. I'm just gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna take a nosedive right into this conversation, and I just hope that all of you guys can be very respectful and not and just, you know, respectful of our decision and not find any reasons to come at us for our decisions. We do put it out there, and we can appreciate criticism, positive feedback, but don't say stupid stuff to like break us down while we are already down, okay? So jumping in, you guys realize that we got rid of our dog, and that sounds terrible to say. That's probably like the worst wording I could have. Oh my gosh, my first take, and that's the word that I used. Got rid of. Ouch, girl, my hair's not put together under this. You can't do that. So, what's wrong? Zoe, okay. So, okay, I'm gonna feed you. So, okay, I'm gonna feed you. So, yeah. Take number 2. You guys would have seen that we recently parted with our dog, and it was just a really, really tough decision. Oscar is that dog that we ended up parting with. We got Oscar. I remember when we got him, you guys, so Aaron and I drove an hour and a half to go look at this puppy, okay? We wanted a poodle specifically, and no poodles were around our area, so we drove out of our way to go check out this poodle. And when we got there, he was so cute. He was like out of a litter of like 8 puppies, and he was the biggest puppy out of the whole group. And Aaron wanted to get him specifically for that reason, because he was so big. But looking back in hindsight, you get to realize that at the same time, he was kind of like the bully of the litter, because he was like double the size of everyone else. So you got the hint that he was eating all the food. We didn't necessarily think that or check that when we were getting him as a puppy. And I don't know if this is going to play out in everyone else's situation, but I'm just saying from ours, I think it definitely had to do with his personality over the years. You can tell that, like, the kind of dog that he is, after we assessed it and looked back, you realize like he definitely, some of his behaviors and stuff definitely contributed to his personality, which we could look back and kind of see from the moment we got him. But he was a really cute puppy, and I just don't want to talk too much about this area, because this is a part that makes me sad. That's why you can see that I'm filming it a little bit later and interjecting it in here. It's the same day, but it's just hard to talk about because he's no longer our dog and we don't have him, so it's not an easy topic to talk about. Yeah, he was 6 weeks old when he came home, but we've had him for quite some time, and you know, over the years there are things about him that we noticed and we couldn't change, or I don't want to say we couldn't change, that we noticed that weren't always, you know, didn't align with like the best dog ever. And I realized that just like kids, your dogs you don't get to just pick the best dog. So, and we also had this motto of once you have this, you know, once you make this decision, there's no going back. And that ultimately just means like when you make the decision to get a dog, like you shouldn't be bringing it back or parting with it. And I don't know, that's like the motto that we had. We were doing our best to stick by that. He wasn't aggressive, but he was a barker from day one, a barker. And that was a really tough thing to live with, because I know that what they say, poodles are possessive of their owners and they're also protective. And that was a thing that we are aware of, but we didn't realize the intensity of it. He would just bark all the time, and that drove me nuts from the very beginning. But, you know, we were like, okay, we'll deal with it. We ended up at one point getting a muzzle and trying to resolve it that way. We took him to puppy obedience class, so don't come for me, any of you guys who are like, oh, you just partied with your dog and you didn't really try to figure it out. No, we went to puppy obedience. We paid money, tons and tons of money to take him there. We took him to puppy training. So on multiple occasions he went. We took him out on walks, and it did not, like, honestly, it didn't change anything in that regard. We took him to the dog park. He just barked his head off nonetheless when he got there. Just things like that. So these are some of the things that just became like red flags to us. But we were determined to give up. It started becoming an inconvenience. We couldn't have people over to our house because he would bark endlessly and he just never stopped. So we went through for like a long time just never inviting people over just because of that reason. And I know people would come here at times too and they'd be like, oh, he's not so bad. He's lovely and he's cuddly. But this is what the dog did to us. Like, he conditioned us to almost fear bringing people here, just because he would jump all over them and he would go nuts, and it just made us started getting anxiety about having people over and how he would act. Anyways, so these are just some of the things that we were dealing with initially, and no matter what, we were just like, okay, we'll still do our best to work with the dog. And not only that, not only was it that kind of inconvenience, then it made it hard, like, to ever leave him with anyone, because he also suffered from separation anxiety, so we couldn't go anywhere. Whenever we went anywhere, he would always have like a massive mess of, maybe would make a big mess of himself while he was under the care of whoever, and it was 99.9% of the times at what do you call it? A puppy, like a place where we had puppy daycare. Like, fast forwarding things to now as to why we ended up having what, like, the last straw was. After, you know, buying our last house, after buying this house, we didn't realize that we had a tree in the backyard that that produced all these berries. And it produced these berries, and it does it for like half the year, or several times a year, the fruitful season. But I mean, it starts to drop all these berries in the yard, and the dog, we can't avoid sending the dog out into the backyard because we're home. We're not going to take him out every 2 seconds to go pee when he wants to pee anywhere else. After all, he's like, oh, he was 10, approaching 11. It's okay. He was 10 years old, approaching 11, and so, long story short, he would eat these berries and would be sick, like day in, day out, all the time, guys. You don't understand. He would be so sick. He would make a mess of himself in his crate, and that was like our nightmare for 2-3 months of just like every single morning, oh, surprise, or every single, you know, or he would be so sick that he couldn't eat real dog food. And so because when a dog is ill, you cannot give them food like that. So I'd be making rice and whatnot, but it was just like an ongoing thing, and he was just getting thinner and thinner because he was getting ill from eating these berries. And that was like the last straw for us. You know, there are a lot of little things that were making it so kind of like sad for us, because we weren't enjoying him as much as we should be. If you're going to go out of your way and have a dog, they cost money to maintain, they cost money to take them to get them checked for their food, and just all these basic things. So at the end, long story short, is there are all these things, inconveniences that were happening. We had a family meeting and created a list of the pros and the cons of still keeping our dog. At the end of it, we looked at what was best for him, not even so much just us, because if it were us, honestly, I feel like we would have parted with him much earlier. But it was more out of what was best for him, because we saw him just getting ill and hurting himself. He was it's just a dog that was hard-headed. He never learned. He didn't learn. And he just kept repeating the same mistake. Like, you know, some dogs, they would learn from eating something terrible that's going to have them just be really ill. And at the end of the day, he didn't learn. He would just repeat the same mistake. So he just repeated over and over and over again. And it just got, yeah, it was just getting to be a bit much. It was a bit much to not only witness him doing this and just having to deal with the frustration of what we were dealing with, but it was a bit much in also watching the dog basically ruin himself. He was very bittersweet, because we've had him for over 10 years. And that's one of the toughest things, is like parting with a pet that you thought was going to stick around for life. It was really hard. And I felt really bad for Aaron too, because he had to also make that decision, which was really tough, because he was concerned for him, you know, he started feeling really concerned for the dog and starting to just worry about his overall health. It was just a really tough decision. Like I said, there are so many things that I'm not even mentioning in this video, but at the end of the day, I don't think any of those things really matter, because it was honestly like the icing of the cake that did it for us, the last series of things that were happening. And we just didn't want him to get really ill. And, you know, so we ended up basically like surrendering him. And we were told, like, there's nothing to worry about, because he will definitely be adopted out. Like, he was a smart dog. He was smart. He knew how to sit. He knew how to do tricks. He could play dead. He could roll over. He could do all of the above. He could do so many things. And, you know, it's sad to say, but like, since parting with him, like, it's just been like kind of like a burden. It sounds so bad, because I don't want to put it in the same sentence, but it's been the best decision overall, with him being, you know, finding someone who can just commit the time to watch him 24/7. Like, I feel like you'd be perfect with like a little old lady who just loves dogs and who will just devote their every second, and who doesn't mind cleaning up after a dog who's stubborn and tough and hard-headed. I think, like, you know, as much as we love our dogs, we have so many other things that are more important, such as like a new baby and, you know, our family growing, and those kind of things that do come first before any, like, a pet. But, you know, I love dogs. When you do bring them into your family, they become like a family member. And so that, like I said, it became a tough decision. But the ultimate decision making for us, the ultimate decision was made for us when he was actually at that point where he was harming himself. So he basically made the decision for us in that sense, because it was a nightmare. It was literally a nightmare, and one that we could not keep up with. And we had Aaron having to clean up this dog sometimes in the morning before work, or Michaela having to get up and try to help take care of this dog, or myself having to try to do, like, it was just ridiculous. And no one wanted to be greeted like that every morning either. So I just thought I'd address this, because I don't want people to think, oh my gosh, you guys are just so cruel. We did post a video that we parted with our dogs, and we're documenting just the first 24 hours of it. But at the end of the day, we didn't talk about why we had to part with him. And so I think overall, this was a moment to share that reason. And I hope you guys can understand and respect our decision. You guys, any of you guys have a pet down below, comment and let me know what your thoughts are on, comment and let me know if you've ever had to go through something like that, or what, how you feel about your pets. I was saying, I hope I wasn't all over the place with that story, but I just wanted to address it finally because I feel that it was about time. It had to be done. Like it, you know, we're sorry it had to come to that, down to this, but it's what we had to do. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Well, it's not much to enjoy. It's like I can't say the intro of like hope you guys enjoy this video, but you guys share down below with me what you thought. Let me know if you've ever had to go through this, and yeah, what kind of pet you have. So thanks for watching, guys. Much love.
Hi guys, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to join the tribe. Subscribe.